Hello, everyone. So this is different. This is our first director's cut or like behind the scenes of videos that we have made. And I wanted to do something different for the members. You guys saw, if you remember, a few weeks ago, I wanted to tell you that I was doing something different for you guys rather than just, what I used to do as an update. And I wanted to give you guys a couple little extra things and things like that. So this is one of them. This might be a bit rough. It's our first time trying to do one of these things, but we'll get better in the future. And this is something that I hope to continue making for you guys as my members, to give you a bit more insight and like things that maybe you definitely wouldn't know unless we kind of spoke about it. So I think this is a good starting point, and we're doing the blind village that went out last time. So maybe every month you'll see like a behind the scenes of how that month's video was created. And I think this is going to be really fun.
Yeah, we'll go into the videos as they sort of come out for the members. But also, I know a lot of members are long-term fans. We've got a bunch of new members too. There's a whole back catalogue that we might go into and just post in general on the second channel. So this is our chance to practice these sorts of things too, because it'd be nice to go back and look at some of the memories as reactions on the second channel as well. I don't think there'll be as much of a director's cut going into some of the old videos.
There's not many decisions made there.
But there's more. These have a lot more that go into them. You watch a 27-minute video, but it took 72 hours to film and about 2.5 weeks to plan, and a lot of money.
And like 7 hours of footage.
And then also we come back, we have to write everything. So it's probably like 3.5 to 4 weeks of like solid work that goes into a video like this of 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. I just want to ask you very quickly, you filmed this video in 60 frames per second?
Yeah.
Cool, that's good.
Yeah.
Because 60 frames is what I have this
Cool.
defaulted to, so
Good.
they're going to get the right experience. That's a decision you have to make as well for anyone who's a geek about that sort of stuff. This video is filmed in 60 frames 4K.
And it is XVAC S 4K, I think. I can't remember the format of what I filmed on. I'll check for next director's cut.
It's filmed on, do you want to tell them what camera?
This one was my first video filmed on my Sony FX3. So this is also a challenge which we'll get into throughout the video because it was our first time using this camera. My bad. Probably should have played around with it a bit more than I did beforehand. That's, again, little rookie over here. But this was my first video filmed on a Sony FX3 with a 16 to 35mm Sony GM Mark II lens.
Yeah.
So yeah, that combo was my first time using it like that, but I had that GM lens, the 16 to 35 on my last camera. So this is my first time using the camera.
If anyone interested, the reason that's a new camera, the reason it was new is that the old camera, if you go back and watch like the Roma video or the Witches video or Afghanistan, for example, maybe not Afghanistan, I think that was 60 frames 1080, that one.
No, I don't remember.
Either way, we shot those videos on 24 frames, which, so the frames per second for those who are uninitiated, which I was before all of this, is how many frames you get. So it depends it depends on what you're seeing, like how clear it's going to be. People were recording GoPro vlogs. It normally looks closer to real life because it's usually 120 frames, 4K.
Not 120
or 60 either way.
60.
It's normally a higher frame rate, and then your trade off is that the gear and the glass and the camera isn't as nice for those ones. This one, for example, right now I think we're filming in 1080, 30 frames.
1080.
That's all it can do for webcam.
Okay.
But if you go back and have a look, we filmed in 24 previously because Josie's old camera could only go up to 4K for 24, and 24 is commonly what you'll see in like Hollywood movies and stuff. It feels a little bit nostalgic and a little bit slower. So if you go back and have those videos, you'll see, and this was the first one that we wanted to have a good comeback for the year. First video of the year. We don't count Witches because it was supposed to go up in December the year before, but the editor stuffed us around. So you'll have this is the first video back, 4K, 60 frames, cinema line, similar to what you would see on like, Netflix.
It's a Netflix approved camera.
Yeah,
so.
we wanted that, and it's, if anyone who's ever looking to get into filmmaking, it's a really good option.
Yeah.
It's the best you're going to get for the price. Anyway.
So before we start, I just want to let you know that if you're watching this and you're not a member, we may release these to everyone on my second channel. So this may be up, but we're filming this for my members. So,
Mm-hmm.
and again, they will always get it first. So if you want to be a member, you can be a member on Patreon, or it's all linked down below. But members will get these first. We may release them later to you guys.
Maybe
on the
after
second
this,
channel.
we'll film one of the older ones and whack it up on the second channel next
Yeah.
week. And last thing before we start, this video is The Blind Village of Mauritania. That was the original title, but it didn't do well.
Yeah.
And as is YouTube and the way YouTube works, we made a change to this title, which I just was randomly sitting there in bed one night and thought, let's just try and make people curious. And then it lifted off about 60,000 more views in a week.
I personally am not a fan of this title. So
sometimes you got to take your wins, and
Yeah.
this was a win. And we have a chart in front of us now that you can't see on screen, but it was performing probably a third of what the average video would. And then the change of title happened about
you can see it.
12 days ago, and now it's performing above the average for this timeline. So
Yeah.
crazy what a title can do. And yeah, so this one was filmed in Mauritania, which is a country in West Africa, a new country for both of us.
Yeah.
We'd spent a lot of time in Morocco previous
Which
to
was
this,
just
about
above
2 months.
it.
Yeah, so there is Western Sahara in between. That's a disputed territory, depending on who you ask. There's either a country in between or there's not. It's your own prerogative. There's a war there as well, so that's pretty hectic. But we flew into Mauritania to film this and 2 other videos that are coming up. So this was also a bit of a new experience, a new challenge, because
Yeah.
we filmed 3 full-length documentary videos
in one go.
in 6 days.
No,
Almost?
almost 10.
But if you include, but once you got on the actual road, it was 6 days. Like we had the days
About a week.
Yeah. So we had to basically film this one. We were lucky; this was all done linear, so we were able to film this from A to B.
We landed in Mauritania and then just drove to this village. So this one was linear, but after that it got a bit hairy. Like, what are we filming for? What video? And it was an experience.
The next 2 Mauritania ones that you'll see over the next 6 months or so, because we're probably going to spread them out a bit. We filmed 2 of them simultaneously, often on the same day. So that this was probably the most coherent. And if we're lucky, the other 2 will come out coherent as well. So
and we'll do a cut for them too at the time when they come out, and that will be fun.
They're really cool stories.
I love
this one's
them.
the most straightforward. The other 2 are probably a bit more like, whoa, as to what the stories are like. So yeah, what's the Blind Village of Mauritania?
What is it? So there's a village called Dalikumbe, and it's kind of right across Mauritania. If you look at a map, Nouakchott is on the seaside, and then you have to travel literally through the country inland to get to basically the border of Mali. And it's a small village, a very, very small village, very remote, no resources, no shops, no anything, where these people are born blind, vision impaired. So let's see how we get there.
There are places on this planet that almost no one has seen. Deep.
I'm going to stop it right there. The drone. So we landed in Mauritania and my drone got taken at the airport. So, I mean, I love a drone. I love a drone. It gives, when you're in the edit, a different perspective, a shot to use, because a lot of filmmaking and YouTube videos is B-roll.
Yeah.
If you don't know what B-roll is, it's what you see. Oh, how do you describe B-roll?
A-roll is like
talking
is
what
in
you're
the
filming.
moment, the actual video. B-roll is like supporting footage.
Supporting footage. So it gives a lot of supporting footage when you have a drone.
And it's called an establishing shot often. Yeah.
And so if you saw that first one, it was the desert. That's an establishing shot. So
Yeah.
I couldn't get them myself. So they had to be sourced from stock footage. And I don't love stock footage. I love everything to be what I've created and what I've shot. So that was annoying. But the good part is I got my drone back at the end. I was scared the whole time I wasn't going to get my drone back. So yeah, let's keep going.
In the Saharan desert, beyond roads, beyond maps, exists one of them. A village so remote that even most locals don't know it exists. And what makes it truly extraordinary, almost every single person here is born blind. To reach it, I need to travel over 1,000 kilometers across one of the most inhospitable places on Earth, where stands
That thing there, by the way, is
That eye place.
yeah. I forget the name of it, but it's one of the few or one of the only man-made, non-man-made things on land that can be seen from Earth.
Space?
From space, sorry, from Earth. You actually can't see it from Earth. Funnily enough, Boo. When
I love him.
So Boo's our guide in this. You'll
see
see him throughout the process. You probably already watched it, but Boo's our guide, and Boo was like, we might need to rent like a really big drone to get a photo of that if we go there. And we're like, yeah, maybe not. Like, it's going to be a bit difficult. We haven't got a lot of time. And we didn't know the size of this thing.
Yeah.
You can't use a really big drone. You use a satellite. So he just was so like unsure of it.
I love you. That was so funny.
Yeah, Mauritania, we didn't actually do the two biggest tourist things is the train,
And that.
which whatever, and that, and we didn't do either of them. So I've got to tell you, that country is one of the least visited in the world, but I think you might enjoy it if you're in that side of the world. Although it's a required taste travel like this. But
It was hard. Very hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll see as we go, but it was a lot of nothing. The elements are very, very challenging. It's not for the week, and it's not for a unexperienced traveler, that's for sure, I think.
yeah, I think you'd be fine. I think anyone can do it. But you have to realize that you couldn't solo travel this. You couldn't travel this place without a guide unless you were really experienced. It's
Yeah.
just too hard. If you had a
Yeah.
guide who's got you from if you had Boo pick you up from the airport and which he didn't do for us, but pick you up from the airport and take you around the whole country and drop you back at the end, it'd be all right. But to independently travel this place is tough. So tough.
Storms erase entire villages where summer
Sorry,
temperatures
I'm no sorry. So if you heard that, I said standstorms, which is
Yeah.
funny because in every video I always say at least one word wrong, and now that I've told you that, you won't be able to unhear it. That this video was standstorms. Another one of mine from another video is viewers. When I
Viewers.
tried to say viewers.
My viewers.
Anyway,
are among the highest recorded on the planet,
getting very hot now.
and where the locals have one priority: survival. But the brutal landscape is just the beginning. This entire region has a do not travel advisory, a zone where the threat of kidnapping from armed groups is real and where the presence of an outsider is almost unheard of. No one
So we didn't know about that.
No.
We knew that there was I'm trying not to say the words too early in the video, but certain groups of that rhymes with Schmerishmists that were in the area that are like offshoots of the groups that come from the Middle East. We knew they were in the region. It wasn't until we were doing the research like to put in these bits for this video
That we saw that.
it's actually the most like the biggest concentration, the most attacks, the most things. Like it accounts for like 60+% of the world's Schmerishmism is in the place, and we were just driving towards it the whole time.
I can't believe we do. I'm glad I didn't know that actually at the point at this point.
And I knew about the kidnapping. So often in the past, people have been kidnapped, especially journalists, and held as like hostage to like so that the groups can get money. But I didn't know prior to going that wasn't as big of an issue.
No.
I can't see the things. I don't know if it's working anymore. Yeah.
Okay.
So I didn't know that there was a. I knew that was not as big of a deal anymore. But I had thought that the groups had gone along with the kidnapping trend, and they hadn't. It was so bad just across the board in Mali and Timbuktu, the actual town of Timbuktu, from the saying out in Timbuktu. That's the worst place in the world for it right now, and it was 100 kilometers away from where we were. But there's obviously we were probably 20 kilometers away from large insurgent groups at any point of time, and we didn't know until we got back.
3 things before we start real quick. Number 1, if you don't know what video this is, by the way, I have a large channel, so I'll link it down below. You can find it. 2, if we're looking up there, it's because we're watching the actual thing.
Yeah.
And 3, look at the goat behind me on the bed. He's just eating up on the street. All right, let's go.
knows exactly why this village was cursed with blindness. Some say it's a genetic mystery, others the result of an ancient prophecy that has come to
that
life.
transition.
Yeah.
Since I first heard whispers of this place, it's intrigued me. How does a community of blind people not just survive, but thrive in one of Earth's most unforgiving environments, in perhaps the most isolated corner of one of the least explored countries on the planet?
That's from the cow.
My
the
journey
plane.
begins in Nouakchott,
That was your
a
shot.
once tiny fish.
That was yours.
That was mine.
Yeah. With that intro, so normally a minute and a half intro, you don't normally go for that long, but we thought that this was a bit of an epic journey and would have deserved a longer intro. I'll give you a bit of a rundown on how this works with YouTube. Just like when you watch a documentary anywhere else, you have an editor that edits the videos, and then you have someone who directs the videos. And the way that we're set up in this is kind of like director-producer sort of thing, because we tell them what we want and then they execute on that because their skills are higher than ours at executing on that. But we are the ones that put the story together and decide what's going to go where and what we accept and what we don't accept. Josie said there, I hate that transition. So part of the game of YouTube is that it's really difficult to find editors that are actually like good to work with. It's actually considerably difficult, and
It's proving very hard.
Yeah, but I think it's the same for everyone. I think you have this, unless you build your own team, and that takes years.
I was going to say, it feels like to me that the people that I see have a very nice team and it wasn't hard at all. So either they're lying or
I think that's the
it's
fallacy.
just me.
I think it's also the fallacy of like, you see where they're at now, but they've taken years to get to that point. And,
Yeah.
and when you have someone trained in-house, you hopefully over 3 years, they get it right every time. But part of this game is you have to kind of have a done is better than perfect mentality. You can have high standards, which we do, which is why the videos still come out good.
Yeah.
But we definitely let probably 20% of things just slip through the cracks because it's just not worth the battle, or we'd never get a video uploaded. So, which is what we're battling right now, actually, for the next video.
Funnily enough.
So
Are we
yeah,
going to tell them how down to the wire this one was as well?
4 hours before upload, I got the final shot and uploaded it. And Josie was asleep because she just got back from filming in the next destination.
It really was annoying.
Terrible, the worst experience
Yeah.
with this video, but it came out good in the end, good enough in the end.
But like I said, I hate that transition. Like there's a few things that, like you said, snuck through because I just
Yeah.
didn't either have time to change them or it wasn't worth it, which sucks because I'm paying like a lot of money to get something that wasn't exactly what I wanted. But again, like we had a lot of a lot of say in what did go in it, and we did change a lot of this as well to be what we wanted. So
If you hear any pings or anything like that,
Michael's phone,
we're
yeah.
new to this sort of stuff. This is only the second time I've ever screen recorded, so you're going to hear my stuff in the background. I don't know how else to do it. Sorry.
that's all right. We'll fix it for
So if
next
you hear
time.
any pings, I'm just getting emails, which is a good thing. It means my business is doing well. So yeah, that's just true. We have to sacrifice a bit for it, but you don't have 6 month lead times and hundreds of thousands of dollars of budgets like
Nope.
other documentaries would do. Even like some other YouTube channels have.
Yeah.
A lot of the ones that we would be operating in a similar space to in terms of production quality, not views, not there yet. They would have like 6 months to do these videos. They have 4 or 5 editors.
I don't have that.
We don't have that. We have to sometimes just have to accept that things aren't going to be perfect. And
Fishing
go from there.
village turned sprawling desert metropolis due to climate change and desertification. Now home to a third of Mauritania's 1.5 million people, it stands as a cultural crossroad where Arab-speaking Moors, West and Central African groups, and nomadic Berber and Bedouin influences shape a unique yet troubled social hierarchy. Now, since this village can't be found with a simple Google Map search, we needed a friend for this journey. Meet Boo, our local friend in Mauritania, and possibly one of the only people who can get us to Dali Kumbe.
Just reminded me, Boo messaged me and said, good job on the video, and I forgot to respond to him.
We'll reply.
We'll
today.
do it after this.
But we keep in touch with like basically everyone we film with.
just
so.
for whatever reason I think because it didn't start well,
Yeah.
we were hoping it kind of would do well
And then send it
eventually,
to
and then
him,
we
yeah.
show Boo, and now that it's kind of doing better, I'll send it to him.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right, let's figure it out. How long are we?
By the way, just very quickly, how wild card was this driver?
Yeah.
He didn't say anything the whole time. He doesn't speak in this video either. You'll see in
Doesn't speak.
upcoming videos. He has a personality, and the whole time he was just a rock.
And we didn't like get it out of him until like the
Till the
last
very
day.
end. He was a funny dude, like a cool dude.
Interesting as well. We've spent a lot of time in Muslim countries, so I know that I can't shake men's hands. So
Yeah.
when I meet people, that's my first instinct. So when I'm in like a country like this, I'm always it's just a tidbit.
What are you driving for today?
At least we will across 1,000 kilometers between today and tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
And just like that, our 3-day journey across the Saharan desert began.
Oh! Jamal! This means a lot of camels.
We quickly realized that there was one thing that we weren't used to.
Camera down. Okay, so there's a checkpoint. We're just stopping. We're waiting for the police. We'll see. There has been, I don't know,
20 checkpoints. Why is there so many times that they check?
To secure the situation here. We took your passports to give them to them. So if anything happened, they give them the time.
Parts of Mauritania lie in the Sahel, a region that has become a global hotspot for extremist violence.
As we mentioned
For
earlier.
reference, the region accounts for around 50% of terrorism-related deaths
I learned all that
worldwide.
after.
And although Mauritania has remained relatively stable compared to its neighbours due to its security measures, this area is just 30 kilometres away from our destination,
us.
posing an
Yeah.
extreme risk for its inhabitants.
It's
Hate
been a
that
lot. We
animation.
had less
Yeah.
checks in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
What was that? So number one, if you can hear the audio is a bit not great in the video, again, first time filming with that camera, and I got the audio levels wrong
Yeah, what happened was we customed the audio levels on,
on
the
the
previous
last camera,
camera,
and forgot that we did that
and then customed the audio levels on the microphone to like get them perfect.
on the old
But then
camera.
when we put the microphone on the new camera, for whatever reason, it didn't cross our minds to go in and test
Test it.
the audio properly, which is dumb. That's so stupid
Yeah.
of us. But the microphone was turned up really high.
It was really bad.
And same on the camera, so it just distorted like crazy. Any wind is going to ruin that when that happens. Even if you've got a wind
Yeah.
cover or anything like that on a dead cat, which is what they're called, the wind's coming through the front from the driver,
Door,
and it was
window.
just
It was horrible. They did their best, the editing person,
yeah.
to
be
fix
fair,
that up.
they did a good job with
They
it.
did a really good job because the raw footage is horrible, and I
Yeah.
thought that all this first bit was gone. I thought we wouldn't be able to salvage it, but yeah.
Yeah.
There was a lot of checks in Afghanistan, but more already here in Mauritania.
That's why I made here 40 copies.
40?
And I don't know if maybe I can make more.
He did.
He did. He made about 40 more. I'm not joking. We would have had 100 stops.
Yeah,
100.
easily.
100 stops.
And again, like I said in the video, more than Afghanistan, which when you think about that is crazy. And at the time, without knowing all of this history or current events, I was like, why is
Why?
this happening?
It was sometimes you would have a check, and then 2 kilometers later there'd be another check.
and it's slowing down the pace of the chip, right? You're
Yeah.
going like, I don't know, 100 kilometers along a highway, and you have to slow down all the time and wait. And yeah, it was a lot.
It's
Really?
It's depend.
It's probably like 5 hours.
Yeah. I also don't like 3 hours later on the screen.
Neither do
To
I.
get some
What is
Neither do I.
goats.
Yeah.
Never.
Oh, liver.
Yeah.
I'll
I
have
like
my
that
bread.
because you were like goat liver.
And I was like,
You would have had
I
the
was
goat.
like, yes, no.
Okay, perfect.
It's just tea. It's like
First tea.
Best tea in all the
sweet.
countries
In
we've been to.
Mauritania, we drink 9 cups of tea per
Oh,
day.
that's like me and
Yeah.
coffee.
Coffee. It's the first glass, it's sweet like love. The second is gentle like death. The third one is bitter like life.
This is like life.
Love that. He's so good.
There is just a whole
That stock
lot of
footage.
desert. I've
Yeah.
been falling asleep, but every now and again you'll go through a small little town and there's
First day I
some
slept.
donkeys, some goats, some street food, and then you just kind of keep going. Mauritania is over 90.
By the way, every town we went through felt safe.
Yeah.
I had the window down a lot. I didn't like have the windows up. I had the windows down, my arms out the window, taking photos, having a look, people walking by, smiling. Nothing felt unsafe when I was there at any point.
Unfortunately, if you saw the last thing, the windows, our back windows, which is where we were, was like tinted and dirty. So when I was getting the shots out the window there, they look really orange. It didn't look that orange in real life, funnily enough. It just was that way because of the tint on the window.
And
So
also, it's filming someone in Mauritania
it is not good.
is not good. They don't
Yeah.
like it. They hate it. They will
Yeah.
actively like pursue you and tell you, please don't film me. So when we're shooting, we're trying to shoot people in without identifying them too much.
It was hard.
And then also, we obviously don't want to hang out a window with a camera.
And I also need footage, so it was hard.
Well, you're in a public space. It's not against the law. It's just public sentiment. So we try not to. If we're filming you in public and you're in public, you're in public.
Yeah.
But we're not going to shove a camera in your face and make you feel uncomfortable.
It was a custom there to not film, so it was
We did
difficult
ask
to
Boo.
get shots.
We
in
would
this
say
one.
we would say to Boo, "Is it okay to film now?"
he
And he
would
would
say
say yes or
yes.
no.
Yeah.
10% desert, and the 10% that's left is subject to desertification, which means that's also in danger of turning into desert as well. So Mauritania is a lot of desert.
Come on, we will take some rice here and
Okay.
some food, and then after the lunch we will
Drive.
drive. It's a full day of driving.
Sure, let's go.
Every day
I
was
like
a
it.
full day.
This is coming up to our first actual meal because I think We'd arrived the night. This was insane. We barely ate on 6 days.
At all.
It was Ramadan, not yet. It was Ramadan coming up. But we arrived in Mauritania at like 11 p.m. And then it took ages to get through customs and
Because they took my drone.
Yeah, it took a long time to do all that. By the time we got to the room, it was midnight. We didn't. There was probably stuff open, but we just didn't.
Boo came to get us at like 6.
Yeah, we were getting picked up at 6 in the morning, and we were so wrecked. We got to the room, and there was like little. I haven't got them here,
Biscuits?
but like a little couple of biscuits, and those really small, like maybe 100 ml bottles of water that hotels sometimes give. And I called downstairs, and I was like, "Hey, can you please bring us some more water?" Because I was like, we'll just drink a bunch of water and go to sleep. And he brought me out one more bottle of it, and I was
Oh,
like,
it was like this big.
yeah, I was like, stuff this, I'm just going to sleep. So we'd woken up the next morning, and that bread that you saw us have earlier was our first bit of food.
That bread was delicious.
I think this was our only lunch for like
4 days after
Yeah.
this. Yeah. And then Ramadan started.
Yeah, he took us for lunch once on the way back, but
Yeah.
he wasn't eating.
it
The
was
driver
Ramadan.
was eating, but the driver was having biscuits and tea.
So if you don't know, during Ramadan, it's permissible to not fast for Ramadan if you're traveling, like sick and a couple of other reasons. But the driver obviously was traveling and exerting a lot of energy. You know how hard it is to drive for long distances, and he did it for like 10 days straight. So he was eating with us. But yeah, this was our first time we could eat.
And
lunch,
the first
food.
introduction to the Mauritania beds. I'll let the
Let's show
video.
them, and then we'll.
I like it. My type of restaurant.
We ate a typical Mauritanian meal, which usually consists of rice and goat meat.
There's like a nice seasoning or something.
It was
Yeah,
sand.
it tastes good.
Yeah, sand seasoning.
With tea.
I love this tea. It's so nice. This goat's gonna come eat the food.
Oh, the goat.
Yeah, the cannibal goat.
Is that cannibalism?
Yeah, the cannibal animals.
Oh no, don't eat that part. You done?
Which, according to your Muslim friend, this now makes the goat not halal, so
Not
they
halal.
can't eat him in the future.
So, but they were not going to know that.
They're not going to know it.
So I didn't know that at the time, but yeah. So the goat was eating goat. So
That, for some reason, makes the goat not halal now.
because it's eaten animal.
Ah, I see. But then they're eating it anyway.
I don't know.
I don't get it.
I don't know.
yeah.
I'm not sure.
But
I know why. I forget why. So
Yeah.
anyway.
Well, okay, see ya.
Oh, and he wasn't like a not well fed. Oh, let's move past
Nice
that.
to have a.
He wasn't. He's healthy looking.
Yeah.
Like he's scruffy, but he's big. He's
got
a big
chicken
boy.
legs.
Yeah, well, got goat legs.
Meal with you? He's gone. How did you find out about the village?
I have a friend who heard about it. There is some small village located like near Mali, and the
very
majority of
close.
people are blind. When I heard this information, I didn't found anyone who knows about it very well. The road is not available on Google Maps, so the only thing it was just ask people on the street.
The legend of Dalekumbe is one of mystery and faith. A woman, 10 generations ago, received
like
a
this. They did a good
prophecy in a
job with
dream
this.
from a mysterious figure that she would give birth to a virtuous and noble man without eyesight. Sure enough, her next child was blind. And so were most of the children of the village who followed. For a deeply religious community, this was seen as a positive, a fulfillment of God's will. Today, they live remotely in a village that even most locals can't locate.
So we're driving for
First,
two full
very
days,
quickly-
and
oh,
at this
stop
point,
working.
if we don't make it to a village or somewhere tonight, we have to.
Very quickly, I will say there that a lot of the commenters, like new people that come in, just like it's inbreeding. That's why. So in Mauritania, Boo, for example, his wife is from a village 2 hours away, 3 hours away. They're not stupid. They're a civilization that has survived for thousands upon thousands of years, predating religion or anything like that. They've lived in this area. They're not stupid. They know not to inbreed, right? So it's custom for you to, this is the bit where it deserves a whole other video, but it's custom that a girl turns 12, 13 in another village, and you will be alerted of that. And then if you have a suitor, you might go out there to meet the family and see if the two of you get along, and marriage happens pretty quickly from there. Maybe a bit older, like 14, 15. I don't think they get married at 12, 13 today. It's a bit older. It's like 14,
Actually,
15.
if we're going to talk about the other video that we did there, they do get married.
Some of
quite
them
young.
do get married
Yeah.
very early. I think the more rural you are, the more you're
Yeah.
likely to get married early.
Younger.
But I think, for example, I think she was already 18 when Boo.
Can't remember.
The more modern
She
you
was
are
older.
and the more metropolitan you are, like closer to the city, the more closer to like Western norms it is, as in 18 to 20 is like the normal age.
Yeah.
The more rural you are, there's not much else for you really to do but start popping kids out. Like, truthfully, there's not.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Which sucks, but it is what it is. It's their culture. Not something I agree with, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
But they're not inbred. Like they're not just saying, "Oh, there's my cousin. Okay, let's have a baby with her." They're not saying that. All of the guys in the village we go to have wives from villages 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hours away, next door in Mali. Who knows? And they're not blind. The hard one was the woman didn't have a wife because a man doesn't want to take on a blind woman.
Yeah,
the
so
woman-
we'll get to that at the end. That's when we meet them. So
So before you're thinking it's inbred, it's not. It's genetic, the most likely genetic and environmental. But the villagers have to hold on to something. And
while we're on that little history piece as well, usually we would find the assets for things like that,
Correct.
like the things that you see on the screen with while we were explaining the prophecy.
we write it all, by the way.
All of that's written by us, mostly Michael, because he has he knows more history and stuff than I do.
And writing's my thing.
And so we write it, but we usually supply the assets for that to the editors. This time we didn't. They had done that, and I didn't mind it. I liked that one.
They got something right.
Yeah.
Literally camp in the desert, so time is of the essence. All right, back in the car for the whole rest of the day. Let's go.
Weak.
Yeah.
See, there's a really hard to shoot there.
Yeah. That crack was there at the
Getting
start.
very hot now. I was wearing a long sleeve, and earlier I was like, "Oh, it's fine." It's not fine.
I'm tired.
Yeah.
I feel like Jimmy in Better Call Saul in that one episode.
Your lips.
Yeah. Just car.
By the way, I know the irony of that. I was telling a joke.
No, you didn't.
No, I was tired because it was tiring and we hadn't eaten anything, right? I'd eaten a little bit of rice and goat over the last 48 hours, but I was telling a joke with Jimmy. I obviously knew the irony of the fact I was in a car. Someone called me fat the other day and was having a go at me for being obese and being like, "Oh, well, how horrible that he feels tired." Bro, I was just tired, and I knew it would be funny to say I was like Better Call Saul because we watched it a week earlier.
How stupid are you to have that go over your head? Anyway, now I forgot what I was going to say. In the mornings here, the weather was quite nice. So we would start driving around 6, 7 a.m. roughly. And I was in my long sleeve because it's a Muslim country.
Beautiful in the mornings.
I always cover modestly when I'm in Muslim countries. So I wore long sleeves, long pants. And it was fine in the morning. I would have my, the windows down. The breeze was lovely. As soon as it hit about 12 in the middle of the day, it started to get so hot in my long sleeves. I felt like I was trapped in a hot suit.
The aircon did nothing at this time of day,
No.
by the way. Josie was clowning on me a little bit. It actually was hot in there even with the aircon.
Yeah, it was.
But I was only in a shirt and shorts, which is probably not modest enough for someone there, but I wouldn't have been able to do long pants.
And we decided to keep this specific joke in because we like to show our personalities, and
Yeah.
I know a lot of different videos don't or cut all that stuff and just have it straight to the fact of the video or whatever, and it's just us to say shit like that.
We'll always put ourselves in these scenarios
Yeah.
because I think you can go into all these crazy places around the world and you can make videos about them. We don't want to lose the essence of what it actually is like to be there. And sometimes if you're feeling a bit shitty and you haven't eaten anything and you're tired,
Shitty.
and, you're having a joke, you're lightening the mood. That's the way it is. And Boo didn't get a lot of our jokes, but he did laugh.
tried.
But he did laugh at them.
He did.
He laughed at everything, and that's how we travel. And I think you can go here and make a full-on documentary, which others have, which I totally applaud. That's your style of filmmaking.
Not
but
my style.
For the record, for people who watch, it's an intentional decision the way we do this because we want you to feel like you can do this, for one. It's not limited to us. We're not special because we do this. And also, if you can't do it for any reason, like physical, financial, time, whatever, that you feel like you've come with us as opposed to watched a video about something. We want you to feel like you've come with us. That's a stylistic decision in the way we make the videos.
Unfortunately, a lot of me and Boo at this point were vibing. We were laughing, we were having a great time, we were telling jokes, like you said. Unfortunately, when I got the rough cut back for this video, those jokes were in the rough cut, and I was like, perfect.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, love it. There was a joke made about how the camels in the desert, they don't drink water for 3 months because they carry it in them or whatever. They don't drink water. And I was like, me neither. And Boo was like, he thought it was
He
the
just thought
funniest.
everything was funny.
He thought it was the funniest thing, and I loved that was in there. But unfortunately, the next time I looked at the video, it was cut out. So there was a lot of it that was cut.
I think in these sorts of videos, normally there is a lot of cutting out a lot of that sort of stuff. I don't know why. A lot of these videos do seem to have like the personal moments cut out unless they're marketable.
But I don't like that.
But we don't like it. We
I
wish
didn't
you
have
could
time
have
to
seen.
change that.
We
That's
wish
the thing.
you could have seen how much of a shining personality Boo was.
I really like. I didn't have time to ask for that to be put back in, and I really regret that. That's probably a big regret about this video that you didn't see
Yeah.
more of those moments. Whatever. Move
Yeah,
on.
because by the end of it, he was halfway into Ramadan and he was off it.
Yeah, he started out well. Yeah.
And I don't blame him. You're not eating anything.
not
You're looking
easy.
after these two idiots trying to make videos, and you're driving 500 kilometers every day. Like, he's in the front seat of the car, and he's watching all three of us eat and drink water while he
Yeah.
doesn't.
It's
But
hard.
we might direct this in the future one, but it just reminds me there was that one moment right at the end on the very last day when he broke his fast and he had forgotten to bring stuff with him.
No, that's not for another video. It's
It's
in another
very-
director's cut. It's in another video.
So good. I laughed so hard at that. But yeah.
The fact that we were already struggling made me wonder how on earth the people in Dele Kumbe live, being so exposed to the harshness of the
Dale,
desert.
come back.
I wish they stabilised
The
that more.
sun is about to set. It's been a
Camera
long
looks
day
good
in
here.
the car. But
Dark.
this is one
That's
of the,
the-
I think, last bigger towns that we're
That's the
heading
edit.
through today. So we should be finding out.
Not my personal
Somewhere to
preference.
sleep tonight, pretty soon.
Clear, I mean.
All right, so we all know
I
that
forgot about the
traveling
ad.
is
You don't get-
tough.
you don't get
If
sponsored
guys
twice.
You guys need a whole of like Ethan.
You don't pay. You didn't get this twice, guys.
If you have any tips for
All right.
Arabic, leave it in the comments for me because I am trying to learn, and I'm not that good yet. I can't believe we drove all day and we're only like, this is the first night.
I don't even think we were that far.
No, we're in Kiffa.
Oh, we were?
Yeah.
This is our accommodation for the first night driving across.
So this was we had stayed in quite a nice hotel in Nouakchott, and
One of the
to be
nicest
fair
in the
to
whole
you,
country.
there is like 10 or 15 really good hotels in Nouakchott that don't break the bank too much. They were the same price as Morocco. However, once you get out to these areas, there is 2 hotels, and this is the best one. And not that this is great. We're better
This
than
is
we
our-
expected.
our first
but
night.
we had genuinely thought we were going to be camping out or staying in.
So we missed this earlier when we had the first meal. Boo literally told us we're gonna drive as much as we can in every day, and if we don't make it to a village, we're gonna camp in the desert.
Yeah.
He had camping gear in the back of the truck. Everything was set up for us to just literally camp, and we made it to a village this day, so we got to sleep in this hotel.
Because of the desertification, you can't book a night in Kiffa because if sand is blown over the road, you have to
gonna miss
wait
it.
and you're not going to be there and you lose your booking. And
can't
these
drive at
places are 50 euros a night. Probably less for him, but 50 euros when you bring a tourist.
What about the driving at night? That's why we had to
Oh,
stop.
you can't drive at night also because it's dangerous. You're not allowed to. It's not dangerous, but the authorities don't let you drive at night.
Which is why you could drive as much as you could in the day and just where you
'cause
end
a lot
up.
of people don't have headlights and they drive like
There's
idiots. and-
if you saw as well, there's just animals on the road all the
Yeah,
time. There
you
was the
can't see them.
donkeys and all that, and camels, and literally we had to swerve and miss them. So at nighttime you could just easily cause an accident. So
yeah.
Across the desert in Mauritania to get to
Mauritania.
Dali charging corner. Got an air conditioner. It's a massive bed. Now over here we have our lovely plasma screen TV.
You need more space?
I don't
Voila,
often
right
do
into the wall.
like-
Wow.
gifts like that.
Well, both of us walked into that room
And we're like,
and
Michael
we were
Scott.
both filming TikToks.
Yeah.
And we both at the
Oh,
same time.
you're gonna say I stole.
Well, no,
I stole your joke.
well, you did steal it. I was gonna say same time then, but we both pretty much were like Michael Scott joke straight away from that TV, which we do, which to be fair, we do everywhere we go. If we go anywhere and there's a little TV,
We're like,
we
Michael
turn
Scott
to each
TV.
other and we're like, my new plasma TV. So I'm glad we got that. I'm glad we got that in a video eventually.
No light in the bathroom. That's fine. We have a massive. Oh, we've got a massive
Oh.
bath shower. Look,
All we need.
Bath shower.
it's all you need.
Oh, it's a bath
Yeah.
shower.
Yeah, it is.
So where are we right
pretty
now?
good.
We're not even halfway into the over 1,000-kilometer trip. So look, we have a long way to go. I know those things don't come across on camera, but it is tiring to travel like that all day. But yeah, I'm somewhere in Mauritania. Somewhere in the desert.
I can't stop doing that now.
And getting ready to travel even.
we didn't know we were in Kiffa at this point because this was about 15 minutes out of
Out
Kiffa.
of Kiffa,
And we hadn't been told where we were. So we just thought we were
I
in the
would
middle
have said
of nowhere.
Kiffa if I knew, but I didn't know where I was.
Yeah.
More into the desert tomorrow.
With still more than halfway to go, the next day had to begin very early.
What is there?
Okay, so spoiler alert, this is gonna make me sick today.
I'm not doing well. I shat in
It
a
was
hole
the
in the
milk.
desert.
It was the...
I don't think it was. I think it was the malaria tablets.
Not just in a hole, by the way. We didn't get to film it, but
I'll tell you when it...
in the sketchiest outhouse dunny I've ever seen in
It
my
wasn't
life.
even an outhouse. The first two were in the literal middle of the desert. Anyway, we'll get to that.
Breakfast because we should go.
This was our
longer
breakfast.
itinerary today.
Every day, which is awesome, by the way.
Yeah.
This is how remote.
This was when we got fed. We didn't have lunch. And
Yeah.
sometimes not dinner.
Well, we were fed in the mornings this bread and like jam up until Ramadan. When Ramadan started, no one served bread because no one was eating.
No one was
anywhere.
selling the bread,
So
and we
no one
went-
was selling the bread. So yeah, we went in a few days when Ramadan starts. We didn't even
Probably
have
our
breakfast.
fault. We probably should have got up early with them just for the experience
Early?
at least once.
It
But
was
yeah.
bloody 6 a.m. That's early.
Yeah, the one where they were doing the Ramadan breakfast out under the stars in a future
That
video would have been good. But yeah,
We'll talk about that.
whatever. This is what it is. We were tired. We were really tired.
Remote this village is of blind people. It is
Probably one of the most remote towns ever, but quick breakfast. And we have to go. Anna with Abba. Which
I'm
means
tired.
I'm tired. I'm kind of nervous. We are getting closer, and I feel like a little bit of curiosity. Also just, a bit nervous. I don't know why. I'm excited to talk to them though. Alright, yalla!
Don't say that. You said.
I only know like 50 words in Arabic, and that's my favourite one.
Now, while driving, we learnt about Mauritania's history with slavery. Slavery in Mauritania
I'll let
still
this bite
exists to this day. Mauritania was the last country to abolish slavery in 1981, but it wasn't criminalised until 2007. Yet, an estimated 90,000 people remain enslaved, born into servitude without knowing their legal rights. Little did I know how many.
So that's it. We don't talk about slavery again, do we?
No.
So we wanted to do
I
more...
regret that.
Well, this is my thing here. This is another stylistic choice. We wanted to talk more about slavery, but then what does the video become about? This is about traveling to this village. And
Yes. Unfortunately, with YouTube,
yeah.
you also have to cut your losses sometimes
Yeah.
because if people are clicking on one thing and you make it about another, it's also bad.
Yeah.
But I would never make this video in this place and not mention that.
Without mentioning it.
Yeah.
I think the other part of it is that topic requires, for me, after traveling there, before traveling there, I wouldn't have said this, but after traveling there, there's so much nuance to
Yeah.
what the slavery is, because I'll just quickly touch on this so we can move on from it, but the ones that are still in slavery, for them, it's a good scenario because they're being paid now and they have more rights now, but they're still under like essentially slavery. It's not good. It's still horrible. It's still horrific, but they're developing it themselves. They're developing their way out of it, but the education is definitely intentionally suppressed from both the middle class who aren't slaves and the lower class who are slaves, so that they can't sort of understand how bad it is. So it's hard to sort of waltz in there with all these different Western perspectives and say, by the way, middle class person who doesn't own any slaves and once was a slave, you're a bad person because there are people in your country that are still slaves. The bad people are the higher class people who have the slaves. That's pretty obvious. But I think it requires its own video because even the people under servitude don't know what rights they have because they're intentionally not told about it. So it's a big deal that requires its own video and its own research.
Also
And we put it in to say we put it in because and we often put little bits in of things like this. We do the same in Afghanistan.
so that you can go and
People might want you to then speak for 20 minutes and you just can't, as we said. So we put it in because that way, if you're interested in that, it might spark something that you can then go and do your own research and make your own decisions.
so that was a decision not to go on about that in the video.
And another thing is we haven't done a deep dive into it enough and asked the right questions of local people to speak on their behalf, and we would never speak on their behalf.
We were told that no one's gonna speak anyway.
Yeah, no one would speak to you
on
about
that.
it. Yeah.
The other thing
Which is
is
why no one's done a documentary on it. There's one documentary out there from a news agency in a Scandinavian country, who went there and did like 5 or 6 different stories, including like maybe 10 minutes on this because no one will talk to you, and
Yeah.
then they titled it about slavery to get all the views, right?
don't like that.
But you just, what are you going to do? You're going to talk to a slave who says, "I'm not a slave."
Yeah.
Oh, you
I-
are though. What?
Yeah.
It's not my place. I'm sorry.
I also made like from a if this is a director's cut, I'm telling you why I did and didn't
Yes.
film things. I didn't want to film
Obvious
slaves,
slavery.
obvious slavery. For me, morally, it didn't sit right with me. I didn't want to go and shove a camera in someone's. It was icky.
Even if the difficult point, they don't know they're under slavery still,
It was just not
because
me.
they're now getting paid.
Nothing.
Yeah, but they don't know they're under slavery. It's
Yeah.
like born into it. So we did encounter situations where we're like, oh, that's obviously servitude.
And I obviously was like, I'm not going to film that.
Yeah.
It's not me. And there's a lot of other YouTubers. I'm not going to name any names, but a lot of them don't care, and they will film them or don't mention it. I didn't want to film them, and I didn't want to not mention it.
Maybe we got 3 videos in Mauritania. Maybe they all do really well, and we
Maybe.
are inspired to go back in the future and make a video about it. But it is truly one of those things
It's
that
very nuanced.
change is happening from within, and it has to happen from within. And it's not the place of 2 Westerners from Australia to come and tell everyone they're bad. Anyone knows that slavery is bad. They just need education, and it's got to come from activists in their own country. Anyway, good.
Many challenges there were still yet to come.
Shukran.
On the
I'm
road.
not doing well. Yeah, I'm not doing too well. Yeah. I honestly don't even think I'll make it to the stage.
She was squeezing my arm like she was.
Yeah, I'll be very
pregnant.
surprised
It
if we
was
even get
so-
there right now.
It's painful.
Yeah, we've still got.
I think you're squeezing my arm here.
100 kilometers to go.
I am.
Yeah.
Well over that.
And the next roads that we go on after this aren't on Google Maps. It's just dirt.
Can I shout at this point?
No, not yet.
Right now, I'm not feeling up to it.
No, I did.
I'm not gonna lie. We'll see.
Because we're about to
This
stop
is the
in
most sick
hotel.
I've been in a while, and with still a huge part of the journey to go, I started to lose hope that we would ever get there.
We're trying to find an apartment.
Now we are. Pause. So, just to explain this sick thing very quickly, I was getting the most horrid stomach pains. Like, it would stab me in the belly, and I would literally grab Michael and squeeze because it was hurting so bad, and I couldn't, like...
Never mind if it hurt me.
Whatever. I couldn't, like, scream, obviously, or, like, say anything.
Yeah.
So I was just sitting in the back, and my stomach was stabbing me. Like, it felt like someone was stabbing me. If you're a girl, it was like period pain, but honestly, sometimes it was worse. And I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what needed to happen to release the pain.
Yeah.
Turns out it was shitting, so I had to poo. And as you can see, we're in the middle of the frickin' desert, so which
is an advantage, to be honest.
I waited as long as I could, and then I told Boo, I was like, we have to stop, and he just like,
Because that's what they do. They just pull over and go in the desert. What we
Yeah.
had soon found, as Josie found out by the end of this, we had 3 stops.
yeah.
3 stops in about the space of about an hour. And the first stop was in the desert. The second stop was in the desert, but near a checkpoint, so there were people around, so you had to position yourself. And the third stop, the driver actually tried to find a toilet, and we're thinking, oh, awesome, there's probably like
There's
a
a
little,
toilet.
you know something. The toilet was a Bunnings Garden corrugated iron shed with a hole in the
in it.
ground where people must have had the worst aim ever because there was more shit on the floor.
You didn't even see it.
Well, I'm just going off what you told me. There was more, and what
I saw it. I smelt it.
Yeah.
I was it.
Yeah, and we were like, awesome, and he's driving around all these villages, and there's locks on them all, and it was someone's backyard toilet.
It was someone's backyard.
Yeah.
And I found the one. I went like looking.
A lot of them were
You'll
locked.
see it. I'll show you in the background. All of them were locked. And I found the one that wasn't locked. Actually, it had a padlock, but the padlock wasn't connected. So I ripped the padlock off this person's backyard.
And the front door fell off.
Backyard dunny. The front door fell off. So I had to hold the door while pulling down my, because it was in the middle. It was squat and dump. And
Full of flies.
full of flies. I was trying not to get a fly infection. Anyway, it was an experience to say the least.
It would have been better just to go in the desert again.
I wish I went in the desert.
And then even the
Yeah.
apartment we do find, which is one of the nicer
was
ones apparently.
just a hole in the ground.
I didn't go to the bathroom in that way for 3 days. I don't know how,
Because
but
Michael goes 3 times an hour usually.
it was willpower, because if I was squatting in the desert by myself, I probably would have fell over backwards and turtled myself on my back. No one would have. And then you would have to come find me with my pants around my ankles. It was dire, and like what I never understand about squat toilets, right? Is okay. I understand it'd be gross. You should wash it. Why isn't there like a little rail you can hold on to?
Yeah,
Because like I understand like they're used to squatting, so they don't need to do it. But if like I'm a big guy, and there are big people in Mauritania, and the women are big too.
Yeah.
How are you squatting?
So as a
You can't
filming
grab onto anything.
from a filming point of view, the first 2 I didn't film. Well, obviously I wasn't going to film me squatting, but I didn't take the camera out because there was nowhere for me to put the camera. I had to hold my pants.
And I wasn't going to go in there with her while she was doing that.
And Michael wasn't. Yeah, no.
We already live on each other's backs all the time.
So I didn't take the camera with me. I wanted to show this experience about being sick and having to go and shit in a hole or in the desert. But yeah, I didn't want to put my camera down on the sand because any bit of sand that goes in the camera could have ruined it, and it was my brand new camera, as I just explained. And the third one, when we went in the house, I assumed Michael was going to film me like walking into it and then coming out of it, but he didn't. It's not his fault. I wanted to get that one, but it didn't happen. So
I don't know. We're running on about 50 minutes now on the recording.
okay, hurry up then.
Hey guys, I don't know if it stops at 60, so if this randomly cuts off,
Okay.
we might upload it in 2 parts. But anyway, figure it out.
Boo was asking at place after place, but
All booked.
Everything was booked. At this point, we were thinking we were going to have to camp.
We're getting close. We're not there yet. We're getting close. I hope we make it at this stage. Hopefully we'll stay here.
Oh, and this wasn't an apartment. The apartment part was rented out. Someone was already in there. Their shoes next to the door. This was like the common room of the apartment that someone had already rented out that the guy was happy to let us stay in. So we didn't actually stay
In an
in an apartment
Park here for the night.
or a hotel.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
We're in someone's living room essentially in this hotel. That's
This
the
is a
living
common room.
Yeah.
I was so sick.
I don't know, it feels good.
And it was freezing cold and there were no blankets.
Absolutely, actually, literally nowhere. Like,
That's where we slept.
we've
Yeah.
been traveling for 2 days. That's how in the middle of absolutely nowhere I am.
I was so
Oh.
I was so scared at this point that I was gonna be on the toilet all night. Like I was scared that we had driven 2 days at this point, like I just said, to get to the blind village the next day, and I was scared that I'd been pooping all day,
Yeah.
and I would have been pooping all night, and I'd be too sick and too tired to get to the village.
And vulnerably, this bathroom, Boo and the driver were sleeping in the like tea room, which was like a sheet iron door.
There was
a
no
sheet-
door.
there
like,
was no privacy.
They would
They
have
would
heard
have
me
heard it
all night and smelt me because they were bad.
Yeah.
Luck-
wasn't nice.
Luckily, I got better. I didn't poop again, so it was good.
Lovely. We
This
see
is the
where I'm going to
toilet.
be all night. Just the toilet.
It smelled so bad. That's
Yeah,
the smell.
stunk.
That's the smell, not anything else.
It stunk. And that's very
I shat in a
clean.
hole in the desert. Oh gosh.
The
I
timeline's a
was
bit
starting
out.
to feel better, so I went outside.
The timeline's
was
a bit
greeted
out.
by some of our
Oh,
neighbors.
pause. In the background here, if you can see, in the back left-hand corner, there's a couple of like brown little like buildings. That's what I was
Yeah.
walking through to
Find
find
the
somewhere to
toilet.
poop earlier. So
Welcome
someone's house.
In Mauritania, many people are more reluctant to be on camera than most other places we visited,
Let this play. Okay.
due to cultural and
You did
religious
that.
beliefs. Some view photography or videography as intrusive or even spiritually problematic. Privacy is highly valued, and in some cases, women find it immoral to be captured on camera.
Whenever I watch back these things, the comments gaslight me so hard. People write things and they're like, "Why didn't you film more women?" or "Why didn't you like?" And we always explain why.
No. If we're talking, this is a director's cut, so I'll tell you why we added that. We added
Yeah.
that because we were talking to those girls off camera, the one that
I
we just
wasn't
said
filming
hello
them,
to,
yeah.
and Michael wasn't filming them and only filming me. And
And I make it a point when I have the camera around, especially women in these countries, I make a point that I will stand at an angle to Josie so that I'm face on with Josie. So the camera is
Nowhere near them.
100% looking at her. So they don't even feel like they're in a peripheral shot. I always make a point of doing that.
And I knew
Because they'll come into shot if they want to be in it.
I knew from previous videos and people being rude to us, being like, why didn't you film the women? Why didn't you show us their faces?
Which we explained in that video too.
I knew that if I didn't mention in this that the women didn't want to be filmed, it's a custom. They find it immoral. They don't want their faces to be on the screen for men or whoever else to see. It's their culture,
I mean,
right?
look, the same types of people said the same things in the Bangladesh video. There is a clear agenda with people who write those sorts of comments. They just want to shit on religion.
Anyway, so I after we did the rough cut of this with the editor, I said I want to insert a little section here that just explains that they chose not to be on camera and it was very common theme throughout the country that they didn't want to. So I explained it. That was just my choice. I needed to say that.
Doesn't it? You get gaslit so hard from stuff, but we do say it, and it's just proof that look, fair enough. People don't watch the whole thing and then they watch a little bit.
It's not fair enough. If you're going to make a comment that's rude, you should have watched the whole thing to see if what you were rude about was actually addressed. But anyway, moving on.
So that makes the people that we did get to speak
Not
to,
the members, you
and
guys are
who were
great.
open to telling their stories, even more special.
It's me, Josie.
So not filming them.
Your accent must be funny. Mauritania has the best, the most close to correct Arabic, and all the other Arabic countries say this. So,
and I was just learning Arabic. I just started not long before this, and I'd gone to. If you don't know, Arabic obviously has lots of different dialects. We were in Morocco. I was trying to learn Darija, which is the Moroccan dialect, and it was just. And I was learning modern standard Arabic at the time, and this is like even better than modern standard. So,
But on top of that, Morocco, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, UAE, they get a lot of tourists, so they're used to tourists trying to learn language when they do. Those that do bother. In this country, why are you bothering to say these words when you don't know how they don't understand what you're saying because they can't even fathom that someone would come there and speak a little bit of their language.
Not bad.
Do I sound funny?
She doesn't even know what to listen to. Boo laughed at Josie's
your
accent the whole time.
Really amazing. I like it.
How do I say? Kefakulu, nice to meet you, Bil Arabia.
سررت
Soretu
بلقائك.
bilikarik.
لقائك.
Birakaik.
Sounds the same to me.
Yeah. Shukran.
Oh, I got them accident. That's all right.
We would have loved, well, you can't identify that. We would have loved to have talked to them on camera, and I think they probably would have been okay with it, but you don't then know if the men and the other women in the area will be okay with you filming them because they were kids.
Yep.
The sun was
Well, probably 16.
Kids.
setting, we sat down to eat dinner, and of course, drink some tea.
Did we eat dinner? I didn't. I was sick.
Yeah, you didn't. We had biscuits.
I think
Wait.
I'm better.
We had biscuits.
Biscuits.
Boo says biscuits instead of biscuits, and by the end of it, we were making fun of him for it.
And he was laughing
He was
too.
laughing along. Biscuits. And he was
Biscuits.
like, how do you say it? And we were like, biscuits. And he goes, biscuits. Stick to biscuits. It's more endearing.
Biscuits.
We literally, because we were worried about being sick the next day, and the next day we were getting into Dali Kumbe and we were going to be filming. So we both of us just ate dry biscuits and water. And that's
Just to be safe.
Just to
And
be
I didn't,
safe.
again,
We probably could have had dinner.
At this point, I thought I was still going to be on the toilet all night because I would feel good and then bad, good and then bad. And at this point, I felt good, so I was scared I was going to get bad and be on the toilet.
You think you are.
I think. I think I'm better and then I get worse, so I think I'm better.
I want you to get better soon because.
Me too.
Yeah. I need you tomorrow.
While we drank tea, Boo started to tell us more about himself, and funnily enough, his knowledge about Australia.
He likes Wolf Creek from Australia. Of anything Australia made, it's Wolf Creek. Are you scared to come to Australia? Because of Wolf Creek?
I think yes.
Oh, I think yes.
When we...
I wanted to say, you go into a serious question here. The reason that we include this sort of stuff is that is 80% of the time in the car.
conversations.
We sat in the car with him and he'd be like, I like Australia, but I saw a video where you hung out of helicopters and shot all the camels. And he was like that horrified. Like we would just banter about stuff. We'd tell each other about like curious things from each other's countries. Constantly. I think that went for like 10 seconds. But we sat in there for like an hour and
An
just shot
hour.
the shit with him for ages.
And it's funny because for the next like week, every day he would bring up how sad he was that Australia shot the camels.
Constantly.
It must have really affected him.
Yeah, and then I told him that it was the Ramadan markets in Australia at the time, and in Lakemba there's like the camel burger is the most popular thing, and he was like, camel burger? It was just,
It's like, oh,
it was awesome.
Idea
Boo was great. We talked so much smack
Love
with him
that.
the whole time, and that's why we stylistically director's cut include those things because that's the reality of this.
But still, only about 3 of these moments made it in, and like Michael just said, they were all we filmed
constant.
so many of them. Unfortunately, like I said, a lot of them got cut out.
I would
from
have
this.
liked 2 or 3 more,
Same.
but in saying that, sometimes that might diminish the actual
No, I don't
tension.
think it does. I love that part of
Yeah.
the travel, and if I had time, like I said, we got this video 4 hours before it went up back from the editor. I would have asked to be for like 2 or 3 of them to be put back in, and unfortunately, like that's one thing I do regret about this video. Not enough of those for me went in because I mean, tell me, you guys are the viewers. Tell me if I'm wrong. That's one of my favorite parts of my videos.
And also, you don't know anything about Mauritania, so let's meet the people a little bit more, especially since we can't talk to locals.
yeah.
Search about Mauritania in Australia, it says don't travel to Mauritania. I think
Like
there's
every country,
some, like,
Australia's smart
kidnappings
travel,
and stuff
don't
like
go.
that. Do you know about it, or
Is that blurry there?
I know about it. It's happened
Didn't notice that till now, so there's something else.
I did notice that.
2007. This is an old story. Now everything is changed.
Yeah.
Lots of tourists coming.
Mauritania has seen a sharp decline in kidnapping since 2011, following a wave of abductions and attacks by terrorists between 2005 and 2011. However, foreign governments still warn of a high risk, especially near the Mali-Mauritania border,
Where we
just
were.
30 kilometers from Dalekumbe, a designated danger zone that we're approaching
Pause.
with every...
Hate this animation. I fought tooth and nail try and get this to look better, and just didn't happen.
Yeah.
Not my fault. So that's annoying. But I guess you can. I know that you guys probably don't notice as much as I do, but stuff like this, just for me, I'm really proud of my work, and I like things to be the way I want them. And this for me was a letdown in the video to have something as not as as good as Make It In, but whatever.
It still does the job, but sometimes if you're like, we're trying to get better as like
Directors,
filmmakers. Like we're trying to
filmmakers.
get better at what we do, and we're not under any illusion to think we're anywhere near like even good at this yet. Like I think we make good videos because we know we just naturally sort of understand how to do it. And even back when Josie made travel vlogs, we still had an idea of like the things we like to do. We would make sure they made the video, as opposed to what I think a lot of YouTubers fall in the trap of. What I think a viewer wants to see, that's all I'll include. No, not like,
Yeah.
or I have to be somebody on camera.
Yeah.
We have always just been ourselves on camera because like there's other people out there like you, like they're gonna enjoy it, and I think that's
Or they won't, and I still don't care.
Yeah, that's a spirit that we carry across to these
Yeah.
videos. We've always
Now
been
that we
like,
have an editor, it's hard.
Yeah, we've always been. Yes, it's hard. It's hard to keep. That's what you have to learn as filmmakers.
And
what
every
to keep
time,
in.
and exactly what to keep in, and also trying to go by their expertise or experience as to what will take away from retention or get someone to click off or all that stuff. Like when you get this into YouTube and you're making videos like this, you have to think about that as well.
Yeah, you have to. We're going to get better at it.
Yeah.
So I'm not under any illusion that we're in a position to say, we're better than anybody else or better than an editor who, whatever experience they've had. We're not. We're learning. But part of that learning is learning how to be assertive enough or how to like get your point across that this is how I want it to look and that's how it will look. Because it's your work at the end of the day, your name's on it. So we're getting better, and I hope you guys are sort of seeing that journey as well. We're going to try and show a little bit more of that journey because we spend a lot of time talking about storyboarding and how can we put this together and how can we do justice to this and how can we educate in the right way because we're not educators and we're not experts. How can we educate?
I don't want to be. I want to be an experiencer,
Yeah, but we
not
want
an educator.
But we want to be able to like give you that little bit of information that we have on
Context.
places. Yeah. So we're trying to get better. And I think with this one, whilst it didn't hit the mark on a lot of the little things like visually and aesthetically,
Like this, yeah.
I think this got closer because we filmed it the right way.
Well, yeah.
And we're going to get better and better at it anyway, in my opinion.
kilometre. What would you say to people watching about Mauritania, your home
Mauritania is a safe country. I made all the territory of Mauritania many times. So just come and visit this undiscovered country. We have all the landscapes that you can imagine. It's just
to
a
focus
small
on him.
undiscovered planet.
Yeah.
So just come and you will enjoy, inshallah.
And lovely people.
People.
Everyone's been so friendly our whole trip.
Yeah.
My hair.
So, very nice
I just slept.
hospitality. And tea.
I don't give a
This
crap.
is literally the last room left in this entire town, so I am so grateful that we got it
Weird
and somewhere with
inclusion.
an air
I don't know why
conditioning,
that was
because
in there.
while I am feeling better, I'm not really feeling that hot. Like, I'm not feeling good at all. But I'm determined to make it to this village tomorrow.
So,
We drank so much water, ate so little food.
no, I didn't drink water because I didn't want to
Well,
go to the pee in the car.
Go to the pee.
I avoided
drank,
water.
I drank so much water, but we like slept at 7 p.m. every night and woke up at 7 a.m. We were doing full 12-hour nights of sleep.
Although we didn't sleep in this house,
No.
I was gonna say this, but
There was
we're
no
there
blanket.
now. There, if you can see what I'm sitting on, the blue thing,
That was it.
That was it. There was no blanket. There was no pillow. I mean, there's a pillow, but it's not a
Mauritanians
pillow.
have the cape thing that they wear that they can use as a blanket.
But we didn't have anything. So I had a jacket and Michael's jacket. What did you have? You gave me your jacket.
I'm an idiot, by the way. Get this. I had a jumper. I put a jumper on, and then I had two long sleeve button up shirts, and I put one like over the top of me, and I put one over the bottom of me. Why didn't I just put pants on and put the shirt on and do the shirt up?
You didn't put your pants on?
No, I wore shorts. I literally just used clothes as a blanket, and I could just put the clothes on. The next morning I woke up and I was like, I could have just wore the long pants and wore the
Yeah,
shirts.
so silly. Yeah, I
It was
had a
freezing,
jacket
but-
and Michael's shirt, and that was it. And I kept waking up throughout the night. It was cold. The good thing is that there was aircon in this
Would have
room,
been
air conditioner.
horrible without it.
It would have been horrible without it, but because it was so cold with the aircon, we needed a blanket, and I just kept waking up.
The aircon was on or off, not
Yeah,
climate control.
yeah.
We have a big day tomorrow. We finally reach the village in the morning, hopefully, if I don't wake up sick. So look,
so
air conditioning, a good sleep, and I'm excited to learn more about the people who are the reason why I've come this far in the first place, and I've travelled for 3 solid days.
What are we? 17 minutes in. A long time to get there in the video, but I guess it would have been a 5-minute video if we'd put it at the start.
Well, this is the thing. So with titling this video, that's why it was originally called "I Traveled to the Blind Village" or something, because half the video is traveling, right? If you're clicking on something that's called "traveling to," you'd assume that includes the traveling to, but that's, like we said in the start, the title didn't stick.
But also stylistically, for me, I've watched videos and documentaries and YouTube videos before when people have gone to remote villages and they started in the remote village.
Yeah.
And you never get the full encapsulation
Yeah.
of how difficult it is. And these people who are visiting are blind, they're disabled, and they're
Yeah.
living in these harsh conditions. You add to that the journey that we just made, they have to make to go to the hospital.
Or
Or go
you're
get
right.
services, or go talk to the government, or anything. So
Put the microphone in your mouth.
I think it was necessary. I think it was necessary to do it that way, because it shows you the ordeal that we had to go through just to get to the village is
Yeah.
what they have to do to get anything done in their life.
So we wanted to show, you're right, we had a discussion about this when we were filming, and then afterwards about showing how actually remote this village was. It took 3 days to get there, and it still doesn't show in this video what it was actually like. It was hard.
And even though there are closer villages or towns across the border in Mali with the Shmerishmism, they can't just go to Mali. They have to go
All the way back to Nouakchott.
Even Kifa has some services, but not a lot, and that's still 700 kilometers from where they are.
It didn't come across, but trust me, it was a hard
It was
yakka.
brutal, and we were in the back of a car. Can you imagine?
The first day I slept in the car a lot. Ever since this first day, like these last 2 days that this was filmed, I didn't sleep at all during the day. You did. You were like, I'd look at.
No, the first 2 days I didn't sleep. It was the end of the trip I
Yeah,
slept
it
the
was the
whole
end,
time.
yeah.
Because I was tired by then. I was excited at this
All right,
point.
yalla.
So, let's get to sleep.
So many goats.
So many goats.
Loved this. Loved
Josie's
this.
first coffee.
The smell of coffee.
We went and got you some coffee.
He did.
Yeah.
And we are on the way to the village.
So those are
fills
called
with.
establishing shots. So we wanted to establish the morning.
Yeah. And how remote we were.
And how remote we were, and what was so that was establishing it was the morning, number one, and then also two, the village.
And that's what we're aiming to get better at,
at.
is to take more establishing and scenery shots, because we're
Just vlog.
we're so inspired by the actual act of speaking to the people and seeing the people that we often forget to take B-roll.
And I know that you might be like, well, that's not important. It is important.
So important to have B-roll. You need it. You absolutely
Tells
need
a visual
it.
story, not just a verbal story.
And it gives you a buffer to do voiceover, and it gives you a buffer to link things together and do educational pieces.
Sometimes when our voiceovers are too long, or we write a long time, we have to make sure that we have enough visual assets, B-roll,
Or
to
we
fill
can't
in
do
that
it.
voiceover, or you can't do it, or you have to shorten it. So it is important.
The blind people, the visually impaired people. And when we get close to there, we have to ask for directions because it's not on Google Maps. So
That took a
fingers
lot
crossed.
of us.
Oh, and I'm feeling better today, by the way.
Yeah, you woke up perfectly
Fingers
fine.
crossed.
I was fine.
I knew when you were like, stop moving, when I was asleep, because I had a rain jacket on, so it was really rustly.
So annoying.
I knew when Josie started yelling at me at about 4 a.m, I was like, she's good. She's fine now.
I
We're
wish
just
those
picking
were
up some dates to
stabilized.
take to the village, just as a gift, as a present for having us there.
He hid behind the camera.
Careful, Halleck.
They don't know what you said. They're like, what?
Curious. Everyone's been very curious, which makes me excited.
In Morocco, it's
As little Arabic as I know, I've been trying my very best to have a chat.
So you can see the boys in the background
Hiding.
want to be in the camera, but they start to edge away from it more.
And then I turn the camera off.
The best way to explain the culture is, it's not like, please don't film me. It's like, why the F are you filming me? That's kind of what the culture is. It's like, why are you filming me? Like, it's almost like it's insulting to, like, a zoo animal sort of thing if you whip your camera out, take a photo of someone, and that's
Oh my gosh. Also, I wasn't wearing sunscreen because I had nowhere to rub it off, and
maybe that's why you're having an issue with your skin at the moment.
no, it happened before that. Can you get out of my space?
But what was only 80 kilometers turned out to be a
Oh, by the way, and the car was packed. We didn't really say
Oh,
this. We
yeah.
weren't comfortable in the back. I had a
You
bag on my lap, like
You
a
just saw as
15
well.
kilo bag.
My bag was in
Go back to
between
that.
us. See,
have a chat.
Fucking-
But what was only
see that? See this water bottle? From us, where the camera is, to the water bottle is all the space that I had. So you can see that the bags take up half that seat
And then that's my hand holding a bag on my lap.
up the top. So yeah, you're right. There was no room.
There was
in
no
that.
space. We were like packed in
And
like sardines.
Imagine driving from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. like that
Yeah.
in the desert.
Still better than being blind.
Of course, you don't have to.
80
say that.
kilometers turned out to be a gruesome search that just didn't want
Yeah,
to
it
end.
didn't stop.
We're asking for some directions to
Let
find
it play.
I love this.
It's like 4 people. 5,
We're asking for some directions.
6,
Wait, like straight. Keep going.
7.
Yeah.
Every time I feel like we're getting close,
We've
we're,
lost like
just,
10
we're
people.
still not there yet. There's lots of cows here.
There was so much cow shit everywhere. It's insane how much
This is
shit
the
there
road.
was.
It's the right way.
We are on straight.
Sorry
Just
for
you go
language.
straight ahead.
Just keep going.
Keep going.
Drive.
We were so over it. This is first day of Ramadan, by the way.
And just like that, we arrived at the place we had travelled so far to see. I was a bit nervous since I didn't know how the people of this village would react to our visit and the questions that I wanted to ask them.
Finally made it.
So that trip is condensed into what, like 20 seconds?
It was 6 hours.
It was about
4 hours.
It was 4 hours driving to the village, and then stopping and asking those people took about 2 hours.
Yeah, and on top of that as well, everyone just said, Boo would say to us, they said the same thing, which was,
Just keep going.
keep going.
And I was like, okay, any more info?
Yeah.
Stylistically, the way that was edited to is one of my favorite, like one of my only favorite things that I liked about the video. I mean, it turned out well, but I like the way that the
It was a good
editor.
choice. It
It was a
felt like
good
that.
choice. It was a good choice to speed that up, but kind of slow it down and show like Boo rubbing his face, like, oh, I'm so tired. Like, it could either go two ways. You could be like, oh, you went through it fast, so it didn't feel like very long, when really it was 2 hours, or
Yeah.
you could draw it out and make it last long, but why when you're waiting to meet the village? So yeah, it was a good choice to make. I didn't yeah, it was a good choice. Not many good choices, but that was one of them.
He can get around by himself.
He just loves them.
The holding hands is like welcoming his friends. So it's an affection thing in Mauritania, much like India. The men hold hands when they walk down the street. It's an affection thing. He's welcoming his long time friends to the village. It's not him getting assistance.
If you can see as well, my hands on my heart. It's a very like Muslim thing to do. To it's my like I mean it sort of thing. So
Yeah, from the heart,
Salam, salam.
which he can't see.
true.
So I can't shake people's hand because I'm a woman, so I'm just keeping that in mind. I normally always go and shake someone's hand when I meet them, so I had to like...
We were invited by Mohammed, the head of the village, who invited us to sit down and drink.
He's blind and he's that's crazy.
I was going to give you milk. But you know, we hope that Allah can like make all your dreams like real.
Should have been captioned.
We should pray for you.
Should have been
If you
captured.
couldn't hear it, Muhammad said he hopes that Allah can make all of our dreams come true.
Should have been captured.
Which Allah is just God. Like, he's not a different person.
And while sitting there drinking tea and talking, more and more people of the village came to greet us and
So
say
pause.
hello.
That if you saw that woman, like Michael said earlier in the cut, that they marry outside. So she's an able sight person from another village who married into the blind man from this village. So she's from somewhere else. She's not from this village.
By the way, director's cut. He's on the WhatsApp to another YouTuber who he's friends with.
Yeah.
Who came subsequently after us, edited the video, uploaded it before we could, and like it's just
Because my editors were late.
it just shows you how like interesting YouTube is in that sense. Like neither of us knew each other was going there, and we both, and there he's Australian as well, and
Yeah.
we both kind of
But
identified this.
I know that. So this was cut out of the video. So watching this scene as you see it right now, where he was looking so close to read because he's blind, was cut out. And I said, no, put it back in because this shows how he reads his WhatsApp.
Yeah, they cut
Like,
it out.
Isn't that crazy that you can
He's also
see how
not
he
reading. I think he can see like
light.
he can see light, so he kind of has an idea of what's going on. I think right there he's looking for the play button to listen to the voice note.
Yeah.
Oh, this is how he uses my phone.
So this was taken out, and I asked for this to be put back in.
See?
Voice note, yeah.
My friend from Australia, and that's another YouTuber.
He's from Australia. He speaks Arabic and he also converted to Islam. He's a Muslim.
Ah.
Yeah.
So when you're not here, do people guide him as well, just around like this?
No. He can go by himself.
Ah. He just likes you.
It's just because we are friends.
Yeah.
And that's it.
So pause this. So wherever we go, we always, not always, usually get invited into people's homes. And something that, not that I wanted to do, but I wanted to show YouTube what these people's homes were like in this village. And so as we were going into here to film what we're about to speak to them, this conversation, I was like, oh, do you want to go, when we sat down, I was like, do you want to go to their house and might be more comfortable? This is their house.
Yeah.
What you're looking at currently.
We didn't know because we thought this was like a communal
Sitting
meeting
area.
space, but this is their home.
If you look in the back right corner, that red thing is their bed. This
Yeah.
is their house.
And multiple people might share that.
So I
They'll
didn't.
only sleep inside in those meeting rooms that we were just in if there's like a storm.
Storm.
A sandstorm, because there's lots of sandstorms, or if there's like a threat or something, like people in the area.
So where we just were inside is their common meeting room where people, after they've traveled a long journey, you come and sit in there and rest and have, a drink or refreshment. And I thought we were just moving to another sitting room, but this was their house. And I asked Bill, I was like, oh, can we go inside? Maybe it's more comfortable. He said this is their where they live. So this is their house, just so you guys know. I didn't put it in a voiceover, but as you see now, you're learning things that don't go in the video. This was where they live.
It's low.
My back.
Salam alaikum.
That should not be. That's what I said. That's a weird caption.
you are welcome.
Yeah,
in
she
this
captioned it
community.
in English.
Yeah.
She
It
knows
means
that
peace
you
be
are
with you or
coming
peace be
from
upon
far,
you.
1,000 kilometers plus. She hope also everything going well with you. inshallah.
Shukran. And for her as well.
For her.
Shukran.
I sat down with Mohammed to find out more about his way of life.
Do you know
We will.
I just said
Oh,
let's
no,
let this
we'll,
go.
we'll let this whole interview play
And
and
we'll
we'll
talk
talk about it after.
why people here in this village specifically are born blind?
هو يراثي والله الدولة ما قد تداوي أشخاص كنا نحاول إنهم يتداووا عن مراكز الدولة ما وفقوا ما قد تداوي.
What about for them? What do they do in their day?
لا حياة طبيعية، لا حياة إنسان عادي يوعى وتوب الفجر ويصلي، ما عنده قبال أنشطة ذيك هي. معظم حياتنا هون ترتكز على المساعدة بأخبار الأكل وأخبار الشرب.
What part does religion and your faith play in your outlook on life?
وأثر الإسلام على شخص الأعمى يزيده طمأنينة، كما ورد في الحديث عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أن من فقد حبيبتيه دخل الجنة. هذه خصوصية.
What do they think that the world could learn about their community?
الوصول رسالة عن هذه الجماعة عنها جماعة مكفوفة وهي من اللي قليلة شكلها في العالم. موريتانيا بعد شكلها ما هو خالق في العالم لا يعود لها قليل والله ما هو خالق. قل ما تجد جماعة الحمد لله بالنوع من الكفافة موجودة لا معمي. قطعا الحياة الحمد لله إلا أن احنا مؤمنين أما الحياة صعوبتها مؤمن كل شيء كامل يعود له صعيب غير يقول يعود عنده ما هو صعيب سهلوا له ملانته. أما الحياة قطعا حد ما يطلب الناس لا يشتقى الحياة لا تعود ولا يعطيه مولانا هبة من جهة والله مساعدات كبيرة والله لا تعود الحياة.
اختاروا الرسالة اللي نختاروا نوصلوا للعالم ومع العالم اليوم عاد قرية إلكترونية. عندي في القرية ما زالت معزولة 100% في القرن 21 نظرا للاكتشافات اللي وعدت لها والبورتاجات اللي مشات منها ما تغيرت من واقعها. محتاجة الخدمات اللي
stutter as well, I didn't
تعين
realize.
على الحياة اليومية. يوجد هواتف تتكلم كمثل ايفون فيها نوع فيها واي صفر وفي خدمات تساعد في شخص الأعمى على الكتابة وعلى
Auntie, Labas.
Auntie, not auntie.
As a woman living in a village, what's life like for you here?
ما شاء الله ما عندي مشكلة صحتي سعيدة عشان إن شاء الله سعيدة إن شاء الله عليك المسلمين ما شاء الله نعانوا الآن قضية الفقر ها كل الشيء هذا ويعانوا من وحده هي مشكلتنا ثاني لك ما نعاني من حامدي وشاكرين الأعمال الطانة مولانا.
Is there anything as a woman that you find more difficult here than men living blind and in this village?
تعاني من ملاقة شتوكلوا تسقي بيه لباسه وش تلبس بيه وش تياسر تعيش بيه وش تقرأ بيه وش ياسر من مشاكل ما ولا يصحى. أنتم
After talking to them, I'm noticing that there are actually a lot kind of archways here, and I wonder how they get.
So I just let that go. I won't talk for too long because there's a lot to say, but a little tidbit is that when we were speaking to them and asking them those questions, the translation
Boo's translation.
Boo's translation. So what would happen is obviously I would ask Boo the question in English and then Boo would translate it to them in Arabic, and the answers we were getting back through Boo were not.
His English isn't
Yeah.
super proficient. It's really good, better than Arabic.
duh.
His English is probably on like a intermediate conversational sort of level.
But I think the nuance and the depth of what they were saying wasn't coming through to us at the time.
We didn't know this, and yeah.
So we didn't know that's what they said. I was kind of just getting back from Boo. They're happy.
Yeah, they're happy with life. They love God. and they need help from the government. That's pretty much what he would tell us.
So if I knew what I knew now, that's what they said, and I'll get to how we know that's what they said in a second. If I knew what I knew now, I would have asked a little bit different questions. I would have asked a little bit more in-depth questions. But I didn't know that's what they were saying.
Also, when we got there, we thought we'd have like an hour to talk to them. We didn't. We had like 10 minutes to talk, 15 minutes to talk to them, and the rest of the time was just like, sit down and have a tea with us. They didn't want to be interviewed. They wanted us to hang out, which is fair enough.
Yeah, but
also we traveled,
their story. So I was getting like rushed along quite a lot as well. And something for me as a woman, and I think like moving forward this year, you might see it more in my content. I'm
trying to do this.
I don't know, maybe it's the older I'm getting. I'm really passionate about women now, and being a woman myself, I feel like a lot of creators at least are men, and we don't see a women's perspective or really focus on women a lot on the internet, in my perspective, in videos like this. So I really wanted to speak to the woman, and I was getting rushed along and rushed to leave, which is why I said, like, Auntie, how are you, before
talk to me.
We were being told to leave, basically, nicely.
Not like you're not welcome. It was like, hey, come back in, have another tea.
And we were like, no, we still want to talk to you and hear your answers to our questions. So I didn't get as much time to talk to a woman, her, as I wanted to. And that was all I got, really. So
things move slowly in Mauritania. It's not like hustle, business. So for them, 15 minutes of chatting was enough. That mentally they were like, I don't want to talk anymore.
So as well,
probably more like half an hour.
20 minutes max. But the reason why we know this is the second thing that I liked my editor did was we got that translated. So they sent this clip to an Arabic speaker, and they translated what the actual people said.
Yes.
Which is the captions you see on screen. So that's why I'm saying
we didn't discover it until we
no
watched
one can
the
hear you.
We didn't discover that ourselves until we watched the edit. We were like, holy crap, that was so much more emotional than we thought it was.
So I cried when we just played that, because this is only like the third time I've watched it.
We tend to upload and then not watch it again for a month. Yeah.
That was only like the third time that I've seen what they actually said to us, translated in like more accurately. So that hit me hard, because if I'd known that they said that, like the next clip, well, I'll play it in a second because we're almost at the end, but the next clip is me being like, oh, I didn't know that, it's so nice they're saying they're happy. I didn't know what they are actually saying. So for me, what I say next kind of makes me cringe, because I wouldn't have kind of chosen to say that had I known what they said.
Through those things, I think they would have that open plan down, memorized in their brain. It's something that you never really think about for yourself, do you? I mean, my glasses are so bad that I'm almost legally blind, but it is absolutely nothing compared to what these people go through. Plus, my lips are cracked and sore after 2 days driving in the desert. These conditions are no joke. It is hot. I can only imagine what it's like to live here and so far away from everything else, so remote. Their resilience is kind of blowing my mind a bit. And for them to still say that they're really happy.
That's all I got.
That's all we thought they said.
I think something that we could all learn
they're not
from,
really happy.
to be honest with you. Very glad I got to meet them. We sat down one more time to share a meal, and then it was time to leave.
You are very welcome anytime.
Director's cut. We do compensate people for our time with them when we talk to them. So many people you traveled all that way and gave them a box of dates.
Not so many people. We got 2 comments.
We actually got so many overwhelmingly lovely comments this video. It's been so refreshing and inspiring and wonderful. But there was stick with the people who say these sorts of things, and it's like, no, we're not gonna say a video being like, here's this wonderful village who needs your help and they're beautiful, let's find their story. P.S. We paid them X amount of dollars for them to talk to us on camera. Of course we compensate people when we go and visit them. No one is going to be on camera unless they agree to. Some people want compensation for that, which is someone with a special story like this, fair enough, who needs the money. Some people want to be on camera because that's enough for them to get their message out there. So whenever you watch,
we paid them.
But yeah, and any YouTuber, unless they're shoving a camera in someone's face, which happens a lot, they're not giving them anything back for it. But in these sorts of videos where people go and make these stories, an agreement is made to be on camera, and
we can't speak for other YouTubers, but for us, an agreement was made.
Yeah, but if you're traveling out to a village and it's set up like this, as in the people know you're coming to film them, they've agreed for you to be there. They're not going to let you in. No, you couldn't go here with a camera as just a person and say, "Hello, I've come to interview you."
People might, but that's rude.
Yeah, but you most likely you probably wouldn't be able to find it, but. I'm just saying, like, we paid them, and more often than not, like, most of these people have an agreement of some
I
sort.
will just say it was a substantial amount of money. So
Oh, yeah.
that comment really annoyed me when she was like, you just went there to film them and didn't give them anything. I gave them a lot of
A
money.
year's worth of, or more.
So that was really annoying to read.
But whatever.
And yeah, it's...
I think reasonable people know that that doesn't just happen.
Well, no one can put the...
Reasonable people know.
The other thing on that note is that I also didn't film me giving them money because I don't like that. Like, I know that there's people that like make entire videos like $1,000 to a Afghan person on the side of the road. I hate that. It's not me. I'm not going to film them giving them money. Just know that
Not degrading for the person getting the money.
it's gross. I personally don't like it.
Unless it has a context in the story. Like, if giving, for example, we gave Lex some money in the fruit vendor video in Thailand.
Fair.
We put it on camera because the whole purpose of it was that if tourists come here and this guy works really hard, they don't understand, we're giving him some money so he can take a day off. Which, to be fair, we went back and couldn't find him, so he's taken a whole life off.
But yeah, I don't like the whole, here's all this cash. For me, I chose specifically not to show it
or disclose
it, and it's annoying that people just take things and don't think about them. But anyway, let's watch the outro, and then
we're
give
gonna
final thoughts.
run it to the end now and give you the final thoughts.
Yeah.
If you're still here.
And he really appreciates this visit.
شكرا وداعا.
What on?
You like meeting them when you come to visit?
Yeah, because I miss them so much.
He's getting the gate for us.
Remember it also perfect.
Yeah.
Oh,
وداعا.
Resilience. It's a funny term. We use it to describe overcoming issues in our lives. It's something I found in so many corners of this world, but it means nothing without perspective.
That's late.
I travelled over 1,000 kilometres across Mauritania in search of real resilience, a country most people know nothing about, a place I was told to fear. Along the way, I made friends, Boo, my driver, and an endless amount of smiling locals in some of the most remote areas on Earth, and of course, the inspiring village of Dalekumbe. And here is where you expect me to talk about the people in the village, showing the ultimate resilience, navigating their blindness, their limitations in life, and persevering despite the hand that life has dealt them. But I'm not sure that resilience does it justice, because they don't just survive here. They seek ways to thrive in conditions that, even without the blindness, most people in the world could not fathom. 30 kilometres away from terror groups and battles between armed forces. In the heart of the most unforgiving desert on this planet, 1,000 kilometres from resources or assistance, full lives and full of stories to share. In the end, this journey taught me something I didn't expect, that our fears often blind us more than any physical limitation, that in the most inaccessible places can hold the most profound connections, and that sometimes the world reveals itself most clearly to those who see it differently.
Pause it. So that's the video.
Yeah, the outro, I will say we never go into a video with an outro set in stone.
Yeah.
We might go into a video with an idea of an intro set in stone or an idea of how like we want to put this together. But the outro is always the last thing that's done. And the purpose of it is that we don't want to preach, we want to sum things up, but when you're the person in the moment trying to convey a story to someone who wasn't there, we do try and get the emotion that we felt across. And I don't make Josie cry that often, but I do when we do intros. Like
Outros.
Yeah, outros, sorry. That's we do sit down and try and think of how we can encapsulate it, because both of us, you guys might tell by sometimes how personally we take things and how much we share. We're both really emotional people. And we both also, I think, some people will think that I'm not like this, and I am. We both wear our emotions outwardly and externally, and we're happy to share them. And we're both like very, for better or worse, happy to let you know how we're feeling. And the outros, the reason we do them that way is because like we have personally been touched by these places that we've gone to, and we want to convey that feeling to
as
you.
best as we can. This was the only version I got back from the outro before, like we said, the video was supposed to go up. I personally would have made some changes. We didn't have time to. This outro,
The words were right.
the words were right. I don't think it was shown right.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. And again, I don't think you guys notice as much as I do.
Yeah.
But like you said, like we try and take that opportunity to
We try
get
and do it.
across.
We're never trying
what
to
we
write
felt.
anything in an outro that isn't an extension of how we feel about it. And when we write them, we tend to do get emotional,
Yeah.
because you're bringing up all those feelings you had in the moment. Like at the moment now, you've got the Roma slum on the screen, and the outro for that one was an emotional one as well. And sometimes writing the outro is a bit cathartic, because it's like closing the chapter on that story that we've gone to make. And you often, sometimes you go and film, and then you rush home and you think of like, okay, what other things do I have to get? You send things to the editor, you're writing everything. And when you actually write the outro, it's the last thing that happens. It's also the last thing we listen to as well when we're reviewing a video. And it's like, oh, that chapter's closed, and now I can reflect on what I learned. So the outros for us, from a stylistic point of view, are we want to share our emotions with you, but at the same time, we're trying to also like personally reflect on our own feelings, because you can sit there and say, so that's the end of that. The people in the Roma village live in squalor and it's horrible for them and we should all do better for them. But we felt things when we were there, and we hope that you felt the same thing watching the video. So let's all feel the feels together and be inspired to do whatever we need to go and do. Because we're not always trying to say like, that blind village one there, for example, the outro's like, yeah, they live in this situation, but we talked about resilience the whole time, which was going to be our like sort of core tenet of the video. And then when you get there and you see what you go through, and you're like, that's beyond resilience. That's not just like showing up every day. That's not braving the elements. That's not, you are living in one of the worst possible situations in life, and you still have your faith, you're still a nice person, you still open your home, you're still welcoming. It's beyond resilience. And what we're trying to inspire out of people with that outro is that, like, no matter what situation you're in, you can always, like, outward, externally welcome and be a good person to other people. You don't have to... A lot of people have negative things happen in their life, and they blame the world, and they become bitter and crap because of it. We've all been there at different parts of our lives, and these people have every excuse to not want to converse with anyone, let alone to, Western people who have lots of positives in their lives, and all they wanted to do was share, and as we said, push us out of the interview and get us back into the room to have tea. They just want to be your friend, and I think that was the biggest thing for us, was like, these people are super special, and we need to get that across.
And just as one of the final notes, this outro, is like this outro that we do is a choice that we make.
Yep.
And it's actually something that you're told not to do in YouTube.
Yeah.
You're told not to
do an outro.
And you do see, when I look at retention on the video, that it goes down in the outros, which is why they tell you not to do them. They tell you to not draw out the outro so that people know the end's coming and click off. But I don't care. I want that to be a reflective, everything Michael said, I want it to be a reflective experience, and I want to convey the feelings from the video as best I can, and I choose to do the outro anyway. So that's a choice.
The technical reason for that is that if you don't do a minute-long outro and you just said, that's the video, see you next time, which a lot of the big channels do, then you have a situation where people who might not be emotionally charged, people who don't want to have those feelings, the video is done, they click off, right? And they haven't watched for 60 more seconds. So if you were to not have those 60 seconds, you're going to have more percentage of your video watched. And unfortunately,
I sacrificed that on purpose to give you the feelings that we felt, or tried to at least.
It's not Netflix sitting there being like, this is a great video, I want to purchase it and show it for people. It's an algorithm. It's not a human being making the decision. So you have to make trade-offs, and that's one that's a non-negotiable for us. We always want to leave
at this point, that's our choice. Yeah.
We always want to leave you thinking, and always want to leave you introspective when you watch things. And some people might say, you just make YouTube videos, whatever, but we have these emotional reactions when we're there and we're making the video. And if we didn't share those emotional reactions with you, that'd be more disingenuous, I think.
In my opinion, yeah. Anyway, that's the first...
We'll try and cut these down in the future. I think we paused too often. An hour and a half a long, hour and 40 minutes.
Okay, that's what
If
these
you
are.
if you're still here,
I'm not going to cut
thanks.
it down.
No, like
Anyway.
yeah.
So that's the first one. I don't know where this is. If this is members, tell me in the members chat on Discord what you liked about it, what you didn't. We'll I don't know, do it different in the future if we want. I don't know. We'll take stuff into consideration for the next one. And if this is on the second channel, tell me in the comments what you thought of it. Again, we'll go through that. And thank you guys for watching. I hope you like this. I haven't really seen anything like this before. I don't know if someone else has done it, but I like this.
I had this idea for a long time.
Especially now that my videos are being edited professionally. There's a lot that doesn't make it these days, whereas when I was editing them, I edited all my videos up until the end of last year, but when I was editing them, I would just kind of put everything in and I wouldn't know, you would kind of see what you see. So here there's a lot more now that doesn't make it, and I wanted to kind of share that.
And also, when we go to these countries now, we don't have as much time to vlog on the second channel.
Yeah.
So you don't get to see the experience as much, and we want to share that experience with you.
Like Michael said at the start, we went to Mauritania and we filmed 3 stories during I think it was 9 days we were there, and we filmed from sun up to sundown every single day and made the 3 videos. So there was no time to make a second channel where we kind of talk more about that. So yeah, this is what we got, and I hope you like it.
See ya.
Bye. Thanks for listening.